session. So if you want to show it to employees later on, if you have to step out for a second, no worries. We'll record this and send it to all the participants and all of our members. And Chris and Rhonda, just so you know, I've made you co-hosts. So you can talk freely and we can see Rhonda's face. Chris's video is turned off, but we can hear you.
There, it's coming back. There we go.
Oh, there you go. Now we can see your face. Lovely.
Lovely.
All right. Well,
why do I look like a criminal? I look like a mugshot on here.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, yes.
We still don't have Cheryl yet, but we'll go ahead and get started, and we'll have her join in when she gets here. I just wanted to start with a few introductions. So thank you all for coming to this today. I'm pretty sure I know most of you on the call, but I'll introduce myself anyways. My name is Hannah Vanderveer, the director of the Knoxville Chamber of Commerce. And again, we appreciate you taking hour, maybe a little less of your time to just join us and focus on yourself and what your needs are as a business owner, manager, whatever role that you play. Basically, our Knoxville Business Community Connect is a hybrid between our Lunch and Learns and our Let's Meet for Coffees. We needed to get something going during the pandemic that we could do not in person. So we're hoping that those programs aren't done for good, but this is what we'll do for now. And this will be more discussion and educational, kind of a mix of the two. Again, I'll reiterate, all participants joining us will be muted. Sorry, a few more people were adding in here. They'll be muted. If you have a question, type it in the chat button. I'll read those off, or raise your hand. I can unmute you, and you can ask a little bit more of an elaborate question if you have one. We're recording this so it can be accessed at later on, but feel free just to kind of use this time for yourself and to learn. So I see Cheryl. Cheryl, can you hear us now? Maybe not.
Yes, I hear you just fine. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, we've got Cheryl. So we have our three panelists. Cheryl, I'm going to make you a co-host.
Thank you.
So you can be heard by everyone. So I'm going to start by introducing our panel, and I'm really excited about these three who agreed to do this for us this morning, because not only do they all have experience in the mental health and personal health scope, but they're all small business owners, so they can relate to you guys in that sense as well. So first off, we have Chris. I don't know if you want to give a wave, Chris. Chris owns KNX Fitness here in town, where he helps people build healthy habits through nutrition, mindset, and fitness training. He holds an MS in psychology, as well as several fitness and nutrition coaching certificates. He focuses on helping people by providing education and coaching on health and wellness. Chris knows that because of recent circumstances, business owners, managers, and employees were facing what seemed like an insurmountable situation during the onset of the COVID pandemic. He believes that a lack of focus on health and well-being likely compounded the issue, which is why he thinks it's important for business owners and managers to focus on well-being and mental health during this time. Next, we have Cheryl Garland. You can't see Cheryl's face right now, but she's a lovely person to look at. Okay. Cheryl is the owner, co-clinical director, and licensed mental health counselor and registered play therapist supervisor at Integrative Counseling Solutions. Integrative Counseling Solutions has served Marion County for over 11 years with an interdisciplinary team of licensed therapists to assist with outpatient mental health services. She has devoted her career to breaking down barriers for Iowans receiving mental health services in both rural and suburban areas. She knows that leaders of Knoxville businesses and organizations serve as role models for their staff. And so that's why she believes that it's important for you as a leader to take care of yourself, because if you're not able to do so, your staff will model after that and your organization will not be at its best. And lastly, we have Rhonda Thompson. Rhonda, if you want to give a wave. Rhonda is a licensed independent social worker and the owner of Rhonda J. Thompson, LISW LLC, a private practice she opened in 2014. Her practice provides individuals, couples, and families with mental health therapy. She focuses to serve the Knoxville community to enrich citizens' well-being and emotional health. Rhonda understands that life is difficult and challenges everyone to find a balance between self-care, client care, business care, and community care each and every day. That is why she thinks it is important for business owners and managers to focus on their well-being and mental health during this time. So thank you all for being here. You have great experiences and great backgrounds. I'm excited to hear from you guys, and we'll ask some questions. But I guess the first thing I wanted to start is, what has your experience been as small business owners through this, taking care of yourself and taking care of your employees and clients? So Cheryl, do you want to maybe start us off with that thought?
Okay, well, I would say challenging is the first word that comes to mind. We all got thrown into a very difficult situation with very little preparation, right? So that's never ideal. And we have, as business owners, a lot of people to think about. In addition to ourselves and our family, we have responsibilities for, a number of people. If we have employees, as Megan does, and I don't know everybody, but for myself, I have over 21 other people to think about beside myself. And so the challenge is how to take care of them while also taking care of yourself, so that you're modeling good self-care. And that is why we're here today. So it really was calming myself down first and foremost, and recognizing that we will be in a true mental health emergency. There's not going to be any lack of need for services that we provide. We just had to figure out how to go from being an in-person service to a telehealth service. And that was our challenge at first. And thankfully that has sorted out. So every business owner here has had probably a disruption in their service or products that they provide and how to deliver that to their client. And so hopefully they've been able to figure that piece out, how they're going to support their clients and support themselves, so we can calm down a bit. If we were all in a room together, we'd be sharing central nervous systems with one another, and we could be calming each other down. But having to do that through a screen is also another challenge that we face. Not being in person, we need that connection between ourselves and others to help. So,
yeah. What about you, Chris?
I can also echo what Cheryl just said. The connection thing has been probably the biggest challenge we had to overcome, because that's how we run our service. We did have to make a really quick pivot within like 24 hours, going from in-person services to online services, which, forced me as an owner to get super uncomfortable, because I had to get in front of a camera and do things. Not sure what's going on back behind me. I think a cat's going crazy. But I had to go from like doing my thing with the class to online, learn how to edit, to cut, or to shoot, cut video. It was a nightmare. But when it was all said and done, it was great. So I kind of took some of the things out of this, is like the amount of personal growth that came out of this, and what we can kind of do with that, and then translate that to other people. Because it's been, like Cheryl started, it's been challenging, like to say the very least, challenging. But we're all making it, right? I mean, for the most part, I think that we see there's a lot of uncertainty still, and there's going to remain uncertainty for quite some time. But, I just showed us a client yesterday, and that was, the control aspect. I had one say that, well, I just can't control anything anymore. Like, you know what? You can't, and we can't right now. Probably the biggest thing that I was able to do at the beginning was recognize the fact that you had no control. And I think that helped calm me down because I'm an anxious person anyway. And I always need to be going and going and going and doing things. And when you just don't, you can't because they say you can't, it made a big difference. So I think moving forward, what we can do with people is help them see that there's a lot of things that we can continue to do, but focus on those things that are inside your control and do that.
Yeah. Rhonda, what about you?
Excuse me. Probably one of the biggest challenges for me has been I am so technologically challenged. And when I had to switch to online services, a lot of my clients did not have internet service and or minutes on their cell phones to even do a phone interview or a session. That was really very challenging, and my client or my visits went down. My business went down to about 50% for visits per week, and that is a huge challenge. That affects the bottom line. You know, if I don't see people, I don't get paid.
Right.
So that's yeah. When you're self-employed, that's yeah. Chris is nodding his head. It's can be kind of scary. So one of the things I think in knowing that I came back to why do I do what I do? What do I believe in? And it comes back consistency. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm in it for the long haul. I just need to slow down, figure it out, and try to stay balance optimism and pessimism, because sometimes I kind of have been in my head in the clouds and thinking, oh, we'll get through this, and we are now at the end of June and we're not through this. And what I hear from my clients is they are so done with this. And then I say, but we're not, it's not over. We're not done, you know. So inspiring people to continue to live responsibly, but still live, and with the anxiety and the uncertainty has been a huge challenge. And it's been a huge challenge for myself too. So each day, you know, you just have to just try to inspire him to be comfortable with being uncomfortable for a little while, and just try to support that, because how many times have you heard this? We're all in this together. Well, what I tell people is maybe we're not all experiencing the same exact set of circumstances, but there is something to be said for it has affected most generally everyone in some way. And the other concern I have are about our youth and the loss of the social connections with school. I have a lot of kids that are struggling right now. They're just feeling very lost, very disconnected, and that seems to be a challenge as well.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
So just as a reminder for all of our participants, if you want to ask a question, feel free to put it in the chat. But I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more in detail, Rhonda, when you said the terms, you know, you're hearing people say, well, I'm just ready for this to be over. I'm sick of it. But we really don't have an ending in sight at this point in time. Do any of the three of you have any thoughts or tips on that? How do we not overwhelm our minds with that thought, but continue to do what we need to do to get through every day?
Oh, well, first, I think a lot of times I use kind of an acronym that accepting this is where we are today. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We know what yesterday was, but what today, accept for today, and acknowledge that it's uncomfortable and it's uncertain. And then just trying to just make space for that. Just sit with that for a minute and just be in that uncertainty and see that it really isn't going anywhere, and you can still live in spite of being in a uncertainty, and let time pass. You know, this day will only last 24 hours like yesterday. So you can be strong. Anybody can be strong for one day. You know, you can just take it one day at a time. I know that's a very cliche way to put it, but then I also encourage people just to kind of float, which just basically means try not to get attached to the way things are today, because change is the way of living in our current situation, more so than ever. So yeah, acknowledge that you feel that way, maybe let time pass, and try to float as much as you can without resisting. That's what I would share.
I would echo what Rhonda said, in that saying this is the place that we stand right now, and practicing some mindfulness to help appreciate those things which are good. And we are all in different boats, as I believe it was Chris that said earlier. We're all in the same storm, but each of us is in a different boat. So some people are running small organizations. Some people are trying to run their organizations while they have children at home. Some people are having or had to homeschool their children while working. And some people have an elderly mother, as I do, who's by herself in another state. I mean, we all have different things that we're concerned about. We're in the same storm, but we have our own little boat to concentrate on. So what are the things that we can be thankful for right now that will allow us to find something good, whether it is a phone call or a Zoom call with a family member or a friend, or a porch visit, which I have found really helpful, because I do need some in-person connection, but I need it to be outside. I need it to be more than 6 feet apart with a mask. So what is it we can find for today that we can be grateful for and happy with that little piece, even if it means we have other things we aren't so grateful for. We can try to focus on the positive as much as possible, and put things in place that will help tomorrow be good, whether it's a fresh salad or a walk or something that you enjoy doing. Getting people out in nature, for example, has been really helpful. And I think that weather has helped tremendously, even though the situation is not necessarily better in some people's lives, but we can get outside and enjoy nature. That's wonderful for your mind and your health and your well-being. And of course, exercising goes right along with that. So thanks.
I will agree with all that. And I'll also like to add too, is we as a human race need to remember how adaptable we are to situations. I think many of us forget that because we're in this right now, like it's always going to be there. But remember, we've overcome so much as a race over thousands of years. This little blip right now on the radar is just going to be a little blip. So often we get, I think, and I see it, I'm guilty of it too, and I know we all are, is we fixate right now on what's going on today, and the lack of, I don't know how to word that. There's just this lack of like communication from people where there's no direction. And so many of us feel like we're trying to figure things out on our own, which we are. I mean, as business owners, I know when we were getting ready to reopen and there was things happening, there was such little communication come down of what needed to be done, that it was frustrating. Well, we're all in that same boat, right? We're all frustrated with things that are going on. But like Ron had said, take it one day at a time, because tomorrow there's going to be something else that's going to come out. You know, I watched the news this morning and I try to stay away from the news, but you know, I just had in one of the emails I had gotten was that there's closures happening again in Arizona. So they're taking, you know, non-essential businesses and asking them to close again. Well, that's going to get on somebody's radar, and it's going to be, you know, blown up to the capacity that, oh my, it's going to happen again. I don't think so. We just got to keep doing the things that we're doing right now, being mindful of what's going on, be a little bit more accepting of everyone, because everybody is taking this situation differently. we're all being affected one way or another, but you have to sometimes take your personal opinions and kind of put them away a little bit. You know, there's those wearing masks that should be wearing masks and don't. I mean, that's the ongoing thing. And, you know, the wash your hands and the clothes and this and whatever it is. I mean, everybody needs to just take a step back and be more accepting of everybody else's opinions. And because not everybody has the right one. I mean, even those in top leadership, their opinions obviously matter, but it's an issue, right?
Yeah, and I want to talk about that a little bit more because you know, we had a comment of, you know, I get frustrated with people that refuse to wear a mask, and I think it kind of goes into the overarching thing of people are just frustrated with each other right now in general. And Chris, you hit the nail on the head, and even we look to certain leaders in the situation who we feel like should be giving us the answers, and they don't have the answers. So how do we even navigate that situation? How do we make sure we're not biting each other's heads off? And how are we, you know, serving ourselves, but also serving the people around us? And what are your thoughts on all that?
Well, I would say that it is starting off as a leader, we have to model what is a healthy lifestyle for ourselves, model something for our staffs so that they see us taking care of ourselves. And when we're taking care of ourselves, we're less likely to bite people's heads off, right? So if that means that we need to take a walk, if that means that we need to eat healthy, if we need to prioritize our own self-care so that we can be calm, cool, and collected and model that for others, it's necessary at this point that we have some kind of a plan to take care of ourselves. Otherwise, as a business owner, the boundaries will be gone and we'll be spending all of our time on work, morning, noon, and night. And, you know, we need a family life. We need connection. We need all of those things for ourselves. And we also need to practice coping skills. And so that we can regulate ourselves. And that's something that I teach all of my clients, but it's something everybody really needs. And some people do it really well, and others, you know, maybe aren't in the practice of being able to take themselves from a very high energy place to a more relaxed and calm, cool, and collected space. But that can be very helpful.
So I guess I know a lot of the small business owners that I talk to, their work is their life. I mean, they've created this thing out of the love and passion that they have, and then it's just part of them. But sometimes it's not even sometimes, all the time, I feel like it's necessary for people to take a break and step back a little bit. So I want you guys to touch on that a little bit. So why is it necessary for business leaders, even in a time where they feel like they're constantly solving problems, to take a step back and take a break from work? And do you have any tips on how to make that restful for them? For example, making sure they're not, you know, checking their emails while they're not working or things like that. I just really worry about some of our small business owners who might be working 7 days a week, on call 24 hours a day, because that could be really mentally taxing on a person, especially right now.
Well, I would say we like, as human beings, we like routine. So when we disengage from the office routine, it's often important, like for instance, when I'm on vacation, I will still get up at the same time of day, or generally, that I do when I'm going to work. And most of the time go to bed about the same time. So I'm well rested, so I can enjoy my time away from work. The other thing I thought was so novel, and I'm going to try it. I haven't tried it yet, but I want to challenge everybody to think about taking a weekend and unplugging.
How about that idea?
Yeah. Wow.
Concept, right?
Yeah.
What a concept.
Completely unplug. And wow, I haven't done it yet, but boy, I thought, whoa, that's a great idea. I'm down with that. But I have to realize too that that's going to be a challenge for me. But I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, part of the growth. We can grow through this. We can grow as stronger people, stronger individuals, stronger businesses by unplugging instead of being connected all of the time with with all the exterior noise. And the other thing I was going to say with the mindfulness thing, when Cheryl mentioned that, I cannot tell you, I started on the routine. One of the routines I've started is, and I've been doing it for about 2 years, is there's an app called 10% Happier. It's with Dan Harris. He is an ABC anchor man and correspondent. And it's a daily meditation. And I take 20 minutes a day, regardless of what my day looks like.
Well, good for you.
And I think that keeps me centered. I really do. And there's also been research to prove that it can rewire the brain somewhat to a calmer state.
That's awesome. Is it okay if I answer Megan's question? She's asking about stress management or mindfulness.
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
So that I teach stress management at Iowa Clinic for their executive health program. And, so they're business, if not business owners, they're managing a lot of staff. They have a lot of the same stressors that we all have. And they had them before COVID, because I was doing this to help them before COVID. And so I have worked with Dr. Amit Sood at Mayo Clinic, who wrote the book, Mayo Clinic's Handbook for Guide to Stress-Free Living and Handbook for Happiness, and teach some of these executives some of the tips and tricks that I've learned from Dr. Sood's program. And sometimes they're often really simple things, like using a diffuser for your to bring a scent in to your space that helps you to feel happy. I like to use whatever your favorite scent is in a hand cream. Just keep that hand cream by your desk. I always have my lavender, but whatever a person likes, and have them carry it with them, or keep it, if they do stay in one place, have that handy. And it is just so soothing. I mean, I don't know if lavender is everybody else's thing, but just a little bit of lavender on the hands and a deep breath will help a lot with being able to calm yourself down, learning some coping skills that work for that individual. And that's so individual, Megan, that you would have to have them, really write down a few things that are helpful. And then perhaps if you see them getting upset, you could remind them, hey, would a walk feel good to you right now? Maybe just encouraging them to do one of those things that they've identified as a good coping skill for themselves. And I don't know how much our employees want us to be their therapists, but I happen to manage a bunch of therapists. So they all know about coping skills, and they all know that I know what they know. And so we can be good for each other in reminding us to go to those things that are good and handy and available. So for one person, it might be a fidget toy they keep in their pocket. I have a grown man that walks around with a piece of his blanket with a little bit of lavender oil on him, and he keeps that in his pocket. And when he starts to get stressed out, he pulls out this little piece of black fabric. Nobody else knows that it was his blankie. And he's breathing lavender from his blankie, and that helps him. And he can take that with him when he works in a large retail environment. And so why not do those things for yourself that you know are successful? Talk with somebody to maybe help you identify those things. And also to the question that came up earlier about working 7 days a week. And Rhonda, I understand, as a single business owner at first, I mean, there's nobody to do anything else for you. But for those of you who have employees, we forget that by delegating to them, we're helping them feel good about themselves too, that you trust them enough to take on some of your responsibilities and let them learn, let them grow in the process. And that's how you help people grow within your organization. So we don't have to feel guilty about not doing everything. We can delegate it and feel good that they're getting some experience, and that will help them grow as an employee and perhaps someday grow into a higher position in the company. So it's a win-win.
And I was in a, just expand on Chris's one day at a time and doing that kind of stuff. But I can't say enough about exercise, just moving, even if it is just doing push-ups, 10 push-ups, 5 push-ups, 1 push-up, just breaking the monotony or breaking the chain, because a lot of the things happen inside of our heads, not necessarily happening to us. It's happening inside of our heads. And if we can kind of get out of our heads a little bit, we can, and exercise helps to do that, because I don't like doing push-ups. Do you, Chris?
You might like it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I can reiterate with that, and I can also expand on that too, is, yeah, movement is medicine. And I've said that for years upon years, even when I worked in the community. And that was, if you can just get out and move. And then the movement doesn't mean like high intense, crazy training. Just get out, brisk walk, a jog, do 10 push-ups or squat, whatever it is. But movement creates a lot of good feelings, right? So we work with that. Lots good endorphins.
And endorphins, yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So we work with, people with that. And I want to go back to what Rhonda had said too, when it comes to, we're creatures of habit. We like our routines and whatever else. Through COVID, a lot of our routines were broken, right? Many people that were coming to, they were coming to my gym for classes, and those classes were no longer there, and they would have a hard time. Even though I had an online program, they just could not get themselves to do it. The motivation wasn't there, whatever. So routines are not bad. Routines can be the end of you too. So we have to be careful what kind of routines we get into. So what I had started practicing and preaching for many was, instead of let's transpose that from a routine to a habit. And let's think about that habit can happen anywhere. So just because you exercise doesn't mean you only exercise in the gym. That's fine for now, but to maintain that habit, you have to figure out a way to do that outside the gym when it's closed. So what I was instructed to do during that time was, you need to create a space within your house. So if it means I go to the gym, well, then you create a corner within the living room, and that is where you go exercise. That's where I complete my whatever it is you do. And that was very well received by most people. So I lost train of thought now, but the routine, the habit thing. So taking things from becoming like the cut and dry routine, and then just creating that habit-based mindset is, this is just what I do. And then creating a mindset within yourself that I'm the type of person that does, and then ... whatever it is. So I go to bed at 9:30 p.m. every night. I wake up at 5 o'clock a.m. every day. No matter what's going on within your life, if you maintain that, that was integral to me maintaining my sanity during that 8 weeks of closure. Is I went to bed the same time, woke up the same time. I went to work every day. Even though I was closed, I was up there at the gym every day. And I was trying to tell everybody that you got to just keep doing the things that you're doing, even though it's not in the same capacity. You got to keep doing. And the more that started to kind of buy into that, the better they became. And then when we was able to open back up, we saw those that had continued doing the things they were doing were in a much better place than those that had just said, you know what, COVID happened and life stopped. So I'm going to eat Cheetos and I'm going to drink every night. And the nutrition that I had, I was doing really good with, is gone now because I don't care, because brownies are better. Whatever the case was, those that maintain their habits are still better off to this day. Those that let those habits slip, now we're having a hard time getting them back into the groove. And I think many of us, probably with employees, have also seen that too. Is if they weren't able to keep doing what they were doing, it's just hard to get it back.
I have a message here from Joanne, who has Nearwood Winery, and she says they always invite customers to walk around the vineyard. It's very relaxing. So if anyone needs a beautiful place to go for a walk, Nearwood Winery and Vineyards is a great place to go. And you'll have good company.
Yeah.
And good wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does
So-
anyone, again, if anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. I guess from the three of our speakers, do you have any additional thoughts that have come up? Anything you want to touch on for small business owners, especially?
I would share that, our workplace plays such a large role in our life. And I think for those of us who had to leave the workplace and go home, as I did, it was really hard. We were missing connection with those people that we care about. So trying to maintain connection is huge. And then because work is so much more to us as business owners than just a 9 to 5, as Rhonda said, like we have to work on modeling better habits, and it'll help us in the long run too. But reorder your life to put your health first. So that walking, that exercise, and healthy eating, whether your staff see it or not, but you might just mention, hey, I'm trying to eat 5 vegetables a day, or whatever the case may be. Have a walking meeting. If not in person, you can walk and talk over the phone. It's hard to do when we're using, video teleconferencing. I can't do that with my clients because I'm doing telehealth, but I can do that with my staff. So sometimes when we're having a supervision session, we might decide to take it to phone so that we can both walk while we're doing that. I also try to model connecting with the people that I love. I just came back from seeing my mom in California. Flying on a plane is like a whole new deal now, and I'm not saying I recommend it for everybody, but they know that I made it a priority to see my 82-year-old mother and check in on her and make sure she's okay. And I took time away from the business to go do that. So they know where my priorities lie. And I sent them this crazy picture of me with 2 masks and a face shield and goggles and a Tyvek suit to wear on the plane. Didn't wear it as well as Naomi Campbell, I'm sure, but they got a good laugh out of that. And so how are you going to go check on the people that you love and not get COVID at the same time? It's really tricky. So we hosted a party. We had a fun cocktail hour, happy hour, and we played games and we gave away stuff and promote laughter and silliness and give away self-care items, encourage your staff to take care of themselves, lead a dance party, let loose a little bit. That was helpful. We need to do it again. It's time. But I think they enjoyed it and they got to connect with each other. And they really, our staff misses each other. And thankfully, we all have pretty good relationships and we rely on each other. And we needed that connection because we're all on a screen all day with other people. We don't get to see each other more. So it's just a thought. And practice your own deep belly breathing, good sleep hygiene. Try to get 8 hours a day. It's so important. So rest and breathing and drinking water and sunshine and exercise, all those basic things, you can't miss with those. They're all great.
I love the simple one too of taking your full lunch and going outside when it's nice out. That is one of my biggest things. And it blows my mind when people don't take advantage of it because it's so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to walk away. I just recently I listened to a thing not too long ago, and this was about, I think somebody mentioned, tips and tricks for employees or business owners of what they can do to kind of like free up everything and get away. I'm not Hannah, I'm not sure. But there's a practice I heard on a podcast, and I just started trying it in the last probably 3 or 4 weeks, and it was bookending my weeks. So what I do is I bookend my Mondays and Fridays, and those are my creative days. So I try to do things now, and I kind of, I'm really thinking people should be trying this. So I free up like Mondays and Fridays. Mondays are like the worst day in the world, right? Like nobody likes to go back to work on a Monday, no matter how much you love anything. So you can go back into the office, go back and do whatever you do. And my Monday is now like my creative flow day. I'm not going to do really any transactional things. I'm just going to I'm going to be present. I'm going to work. And I started using that now as kind of times to work on, marketing campaigns and, design, whatever it is. I just kind of be creative. I stay away from like the accounting and other things within the business. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are transactional days. So I'm getting back to doing the emails and following up with customers and doing the things that need to be done. And then Fridays, because everybody loves Friday, because it's the end of the work week for most of us. And that is also another creative day. And then if you schedule it the right way, you get all your stuff done Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's all the transactional things, the stuff that nobody likes to do, that are just the essential business parts. And then you can take your Saturdays and Sundays and generally, like, you're just away. You just get away. I do work 7 days a week, but I don't work 7 days a week in a large capacity. Saturdays and Sundays are like for a couple hours, which helps me be able to get away from my phone, get away from everything. And I think more people need to do that because Ron had mentioned that about unplugging for a weekend. It's amazing. It is absolutely take your phone, turn it off, sit it over on the counter, and just don't ever look at it again until Monday morning. You'll come away, you'll be a little bit like, oh, look at all the messages that came across. It shows you're important because everybody's trying to get a hold of you. But I can't stress it enough. That and then starting in this cold water therapy has been, two things that have been happening within me that has helped a lot to help deal with the stress and all the uncertainty. So,
What is cold water therapy?
Well, there's guys out there and gals that they use this technique now, and I have not dug into it a whole ton of what the research behind it, but it's just kind of a reset thing. So what I've been doing is I take a shower in the morning, and then for about 2 minutes, I'm up to about 2 minutes now of I just flip the hot water off and just go to cold water. It is not refreshing at right now, but there's guys now, there are people out there that actually take cold showers day in, day out. They just do it. I didn't do enough digging into it to figure out what it's just been talked about, and it's several different health nuts out there talking about it, and that's what they've been doing. And high-end entrepreneurs, actually the guy with the book in philosophy with business, I should have got his name. He's got a lot of good stuff to say about business practices, and that was one of the things I took away. And he is like 720 straight days of cold showers.
I have actually heard of that before.
Have you?
I have.
See?
Yeah.
I'm not making things up, guys. It's real-ish, but it takes some time. Like it's the shoulder right now. Like you just dig the shoulder in there and you just kind of just let the cold water on your shoulder. Eventually you get to the point where you put your head and then you just do it. You completely submerge in that. So to be continued with that. I'll let you know.
Let us know how that's working out for you.
Yeah.
Well, it's cold.
But what does it do for you?
It's for me, it's more of a conquering thing. So it kind of helps me know that I can do it. And I think for many of us that we get caught in these we've been on the defensive and on the reactive of everything for the last 3 months. Like all we've had coming down is we're reacting to this, reacting to that. And, most of us, we try to live by a philosophy in life that we're trying to be more proactive. But we're in a period right now where we can't. We don't even know what the next step is. So how can you be proactive in what's going on? I'm up there at the gym, back in March trying to figure out, okay, well, what are we going to do when they open us back up? Well, I don't know. So then it was like retool everything, being proactive, only to find out that's not going to work. Like, okay, well, back to the drawing board. Here's the next thing. And then as things happened, it started to kind of to materialize into something that grew legs and was viable. But in the beginning, you just were like, it was like just throwing darts, closing your eyes, throw darts and say, well, whatever, reaching out to people in other states of what's going on within, the facility or their facilities. We all it was just a hard time. So I tried to not react to issues. We didn't have a choice this time.
Yeah.
We did it as an entire country. We reacted to something that we knew we could have been more proactive in the beginning. And there was some faults, but whatever. That's not to be talked about.
Hannah, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Of our small business owners, how has it been reopening and trying to find the guidelines, follow the guidelines, and keeping people 6 foot social distancing and the mask dilemma and all that kind of stuff? How's it been owning a business which served the public and reopening?
So I'm going to go ahead and unmute all of you participants. If you want to mute yourself again, feel free, but so you can answer some of the questions. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. So feel free to shout out your answers once you're unmuted.
I'm glad to start. So Rhonda, we obviously have the 3 tap rooms and have very different consumer bases in the 3 communities from Des Moines, Grinnell, and Knoxville. And, you know, really a different experience with COVID, really different experience with how people are reacting to it, how seriously they're taking it, different infection levels, those sorts of things. But we really took the approach that we wanted to be as more on the conservative side than not, because that was kind of where, you know, like our Grinnell tap room sits and Des Moines as well, that people are a little more nervous. We really thought about the optics of it. So whether we really, you know, our staff really believes this is a big issue or not a big issue, it's just that we've got to present to our customers that we feel that they're important and their health is important to us. And so we took the road of doing masks, making sure we were really working hard on social distancing, you know, showing a lot of extra cleaning, really putting out marketing pieces that showed the 6 different kind of basic big steps that we were doing and how business would be different for us. I've only had a couple, like maybe twice I've heard of anybody really pushing back on that we are wearing masks. I think the hard thing is we're in the business of providing entertainment and a place for people to come and relax and connect and enjoy each other. And so when you walk in and you've got staff in masks and all of these things, it just brings back like the reality of everything that's going on. And so we did really struggle with that. But for the most part, I think we've had overwhelming support that people appreciate what they're doing. They feel safe coming to Peachtree. You know, they feel like they can trust the process and what we're doing. And that's been the most important thing to us as we manage through. You know, we kind of said we're going to keep doing that through this week and then reassess. I don't think we'll change anything here in the next week or 2. The other thing that I would highly recommend is, you know, obviously our chamber has done a few things, but industry organizations have been super helpful. I've been very impressed with the Iowa Restaurant Association, which I'm actually not a member of, but started jumping on some of their legislative updates and those sorts of things. And I think they really did a great job of putting out best practices for Iowa. And then the Brewers Association nationally has done a great job of just putting out literature on, you know, what to expect from CDC, OSHA, maybe, you know, best practices in different states that are handling things, you know, differently than Iowa is. But for the most part, like I said, it's just putting your customer first and putting yourself in their shoes and how can you make them the most comfortable. And then your staff, you know, we've just not had a problem with people falling in line with that for the most part.
Yeah, quite a process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just for the record, we are completely 100% telehealth at this point and making all of the arrangements to open up, but there hasn't been a strong enough reason to open up yet that would supersede the health and well-being of our staff and our clients. So we just have continued. There are definitely some people that are waiting for us to open up and don't particularly want to do telehealth, but we've been able, thankfully, with the help of insurance companies and the governor and other steps have been taken to give us a lot of grace so that we can, if we have to do a phone call, we do a phone call. If we, you know, we just have to be flexible and creative, and we're play therapists, so we should know how to do that, right? And we're just not going back until we feel like it's safe. And right now I see numbers spiking in states, and I'm just worried about what this is going to look like. But every one of us is different and have different considerations. Each one of our employees has a different situation at home. They may have grandma living with them. They may have a husband who's immunosuppressed. They may have a small child with a particular problem, or they themselves. And so I'm going to have to ask each one of my staff whether they feel comfortable seeing clients in person. And it's going to be an individual decision. And each one of our clients is going to have to decide whether they will come back. But I love seeing what everybody's doing to try to make this work and make it as safe as possible to be in person, because we're all longing for that connection. We want to be in person too.
We've kept, our basic philosophy has been that we didn't want anyone to go back to work who wasn't ready. And because we stayed open the entire time, we had to shift gears pretty quickly to the online ordering and encouraging customers to call in and come pick up. When the state came out with the guidelines for reopening, and people were going to be sitting down again in our dining area, I weighed the whole, what are the requirements and what are the suggestions. And of course, all of the requirements were really just a step up, more frequency of things that we already were doing as far as cleaning goes. Instead of cleaning the bathroom, in the middle of the day and at the end of the day, we'd go in there every hour, if not every half hour, while people are in the shop, and wiping down door handles and wiping down common surfaces. We increased all of that, but it was all kind of the same stuff. As far as the face mask wearing goes, I weighed because it was a suggestion rather than a have to, I went with not requiring it of my employees, but asking them to do what's most comfortable for them. And meanwhile, maintaining the social distancing, so as best we can, we stay 6 feet apart. We don't spend any more than a second or two in someone else's space, if we're delivering their food. And we just don't come to work if we're sick. That's the biggest thing. And we have a pretty strong communication going on amongst ourselves about who we've been in contact with. And if there's any doubt, then we ask employees to stay home. So we maintain that all the way through the shutdown and then the reopening. And so far it's gone very well. And everyone is pretty careful about what they're doing. I've noticed a little bit of a slacking off just amongst people in general about hugging and all of that. But I have a new grandbaby, so I've been trying to not hug people that I don't come in contact with regularly, because I'm going to.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
But us huggers are not okay.
Yes.
we need that.
And everybody's been worried about the children, and that's fine. But I have been saying the adults are not okay. They're the ones that are having to continue to bring in a living, perhaps take care of an elderly parent, homeschool their children, and said that 10 years from now we're going to have a generation of kids that were raised by that were homeschooled by day drinkers. So we have a problem.
Well, I gotta hope not, but
It's a good thing my boys just graduated this weekend.
There you go. Congratulations to you too.
Does anyone have any last closing thoughts? We're almost at time, and I want to be conscious of everyone's time. So any last thoughts from the panel before we end this session?
I just want to reiterate that even though we are in a pandemic, just try to be as responsible as you can for yourself and other people's safety, but you still have to live.
Good.
And just proceed with caution. And the other thing is, everything's gotten so, I try to keep people from making harsh judgments. She's not wearing a mask. Who does she think she is? She's wearing a mask. Nobody's wearing a mask. Okay. Whatever it is, just stay in your lane. Okay? Do your thing and try to be responsible for the spread of this disease, and keep your distance, and I think we'll all be okay. But stay in your lane, and the judgments are not helpful, especially in this crisis.
And I wanted to add, just to do a few nice things for yourself that are safe, like, maybe put a hammock out back if you've got some trees. Create a special place for yourself, or take a picnic to the lake. I mean, that has, we've been eating outdoors more lately, just to get away from the house and do something. So you guys have a lake near you, a beautiful lake. So maybe get out there and, take some food, or, encourage your staff and also practice, bike riding, walking, anything to get outside and commune with nature is going to be good for your mental health, good for your physical health. Couldn't hurt, might help. And take care of yourselves. And
Good advice.
I'm always here if somebody wants to talk, but I miss you, Knoxville.
Oh,
Chris, any last thoughts? Exercise, exercise, exercise.
You know what? Everybody always says that. No, there's more to this whole thing than fitness. So you got to balance the whole deal. So, eat better, and yes, making cold showers. Try that stuff, guys. I'm telling you. But you got to ease into it. Yeah, practice. Watch your nutrition, move more often, and sleep. Just get your sleep. Super important. And I don't think that most of us, we don't understand how important the sleep is within our lives. So, do those three. You guys, we can control those things. So control the things you can control. And I always tell all my clients, there's 3 things you can't control. That is your sleep, your nutrition, and how often you move. Make sure you're doing it.
Yeah.
You'll
Well,
be happier.
thank you. Yeah, thank you all for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for participants for asking questions. We'll host another one of these Business Connects in July over a different topic that we're working on. Some more details to come on that. If you have interest in a specific topic, just send me an email or call me and we'll see what we can do. Couple of last minute things. If you are a landlord in Knoxville, we are having a Zoom over some landlord information coming through the Knoxville City Council. So that's tomorrow at 9:30. You can register on our website. It's also a holiday weekend. So there will be fireworks in Knoxville on Friday, July 3rd. The city is shooting them off at the airport to promote social distancing at dusk. So encourage everyone to take a break and enjoy some fireworks and some festivities. So thank you all again for tuning in. We'll send an email with this recording. Take care of yourself. Have a good short week, and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy the holiday weekend. Thanks, everyone.
thank you, Hannah. Thank you, everyone.
Will you be recording the landlord thing tomorrow too?
Yes, we will be recording that one as well. Yep.
Sorry, I've got to be on the road tomorrow. Thank you.
No problem. Yep.
Guys.